Gaina announces Uru in Blue anime for 2022. New Top Onere 3 anime projects. I had to make a video about this. Top Onere is the Japanese name of Gunbuster, which is one of my favorite animes. It had a sequel called Diebuster, which I believe was made around the year 2000. Actually, probably a few years after that. Which is definitely up there. Probably top 30, top 25 anime. Maybe top 20. So I'm a big fan of the Gunbuster series, if you want to call it that. It's two miniseries, each one lasts 6 episodes. I knew a third one was possible, but to hear it announced is very surprising and cool. And I really wanted to talk about it. So, Uru in Blue is interesting to me. It's a movie that's been in development hell since, I think, 1992, it says here, which is crazy. Not many people talk about it. You think it would get more of a kind of a reputation for having been delayed for so long, but it hasn't. It's supposed to come out now in 2022, which would be literally 30 years after it started production. But let's talk about Gunbuster. So, when I saw this announcement, I just really got to thinking about what could it be. Obviously Diebuster was very different from Gunbuster, and a lot of people didn't like that. I really like that, because it is different stylistically. It is a Suramaki joint, which means it is very similar to FLCL. But thematically, it is very similar to Gunbuster. In terms of some of the action, really, the action in Gunbuster, which there isn't much of, is sort of a predecessor to the kind of action you see in FLCL or Diebuster. The one extended action sequence in that show is very much over the top in a way that I would think probably wasn't seen too much in anime up to that point. There's a Noriko from that, the original Gunbuster. I was thinking, it would be very cool to see them try to do something different again. What that would be, I don't know. I would think, different director, probably a different writer, different style, and just try to do something completely different again. You can have it take place after Diebuster. You can have it take place even in between Gunbuster and Diebuster, because there's a whole lot of time that spans between those two. The one thing that I thought of, and this is just, I was trying to think, what could I think of that I could be reasonably sure they might do in terms of a plot? The one thing I thought of is, because kind of seeing how modern anime are, what kind of things they like to do, the thing that came to mind, and this isn't necessarily something that I would want, it just started raining, would be 2 male protagonists. That seemed to me like it would be a fair bet, like maybe a 50-50 or a 60-40 that they would do that, because they would want to switch it up, I think. There have been anime with close male friendships, or maybe even more than that have been very popular as of late. Obviously, Gunbuster and Diebuster both have very close female friendships, so it seemed, I'm not going to say logical, but I'm going to say likely to me that they would have 2 male characters with a similar type of relationship in the new one. However, that was just when I saw this article. That was what came to mind. Once again, not necessarily something I'd want. We'd have to see how they did it. Someone brought up on, I think it was Reddit, it was Reddit, that they already mentioned that Gunbuster 3 was in production in February 2017. I had no idea about this. It was especially weird because I had seen someone mention Gunbuster 3 as if they were making it it was a while ago. I don't remember what website it was. And I was like, well, is that a rumor? They seem pretty positive that it's happening. What's the deal with that? I searched on Google, found nothing. I didn't find anything. I wish I could make the cameras a little more, move them a little better during this. How do I switch? How do I get this to be on me? Doesn't matter. Maybe next time. These videos are just improvised and they don't matter anyway, So, I did a Google search and I didn't find anything. So it's really surprising to see now, no, this article does exist. This announcement does exist. And this sort of changes my own thoughts about Gunbuster 3, because this actually reveals quite a bit about it. So Gunbuster 3, as shown here, is being written by Hiroyuki Yamaga himself. Just him now. This probably means for now. And probably another writer that could come on at some point. So Hiroyuki Yamaga himself, I say. Because Yamaga is one of the founders of Gainax. I think he was one of the 2 owners. I forget what the other owner's name was. But I think he was sort of the president. He was sort of the guy who really gathered Hideaki Anno and the early Gainax employees together. Gainax, by the way, which then split off into 2 companies, one of which was Fukushima Gainax, which has now become Gaina. So anyway, that's really interesting that Yamaga is writing this. He's been in the anime biz from the very beginning. I don't think he was really a creative primarily in the beginning. I think he was more of on the business side of things, and he brought everyone together. But then he did make a movie called, oh god, it's so hard to pronounce, The Wings of Hanimais, which I always call The Wings of Mayonnaise, even though I've never seen it. That's what I think. I hear it's really good. It was a very early Gainax project. And in Blue was supposed to be a sequel to it. So Yamaga, has really been there with Gainax since the very start. He co-wrote with Anno and one other guy the original Gunbuster. So really interesting to see. That was the writing team in the original. Diebuster had a different writer. I think Yoji Enokido was the guy's name, who also worked on Evangelion and FLCL. So he's another Gainax guy. And now Gunbuster 3 is back to Yamaga. So obviously, that would make you think maybe it'll be sort of a combination of the styles of Gunbuster and Diebuster. And another thing that would lend to that is this right here. Gunbuster 1 and 2 are completely different stories, so will 3 be different as well? Yamaga replies, I'm trying to make it so that it ties 1 and 2 together. That's absolutely something that makes it seem like, so this will maybe take place in between 1 and 2, and it will tie the styles together, which is something that would also work quite well, given that the reason a lot of people didn't like Diebuster was because it was so different. So, maybe those people, next time they watch these shows, could watch it in the order of Gunbuster, then this new one, then Diebuster. It might work a little better for them. So what could Gunbuster 3 potentially be about if that's the case? It could definitely be about kind of how the topless from Diebuster were created. And I know if you haven't seen Diebuster, that's a very silly name. Gunbuster is a little silly. They use toplessness in a weird way in both of those shows. It's not like everywhere, but both shows have an instance of a girl going topless that is like used for like weird dramatic like effect. It's very strange, and it's I think gotten a kind of a mixed response from people. In any case, there was a group in Diebuster called the Topless. Those of you who have seen it know that are sort of speculated on, but it's never really shown kind of who's the first one. How did the Buster machines become, these sort of new versions with the French number scheme? And that was something that happened that in the transition between Gunbuster and Diebuster. Was the Buster machines were robots. They were controlled by pilots using controls, just like a video game or just like an actual plane or robot. And then there was a change that happened where suddenly people began manifesting mental psychic powers, and those were the Topless, and they began controlling the robots using those instead, which allowed the robots to defy the laws of physics, which is in Diebuster. So that's what I'm thinking for Gunbuster 3. Really, I don't have much of a reason to be apprehensive about Gunbuster 3 right now. We just had, oh god, this is going to make the video longer. It's already long. Oh my god, it's already long. Well, you know what? Who cares? We just had FLCL Progressive, which really, in all the conversations I've had about Progressive with my friends, Diebuster has been the thing to compare it to. Because there's not much else that's comparable. Where, you have this OVA sequel to another OVA made years after the original. Probably when Diebuster came out, no one thought there would be a sequel to Gunbuster. But it did happen, and it was like kind of a different team working on it, which is what happened with Diebuster. Obviously, with Progressive, they are maybe to a fault attempting to emulate the original. With Diebuster, that was not the case, and that was obviously maybe a good thing in the case of Diebuster, according to me. In my opinion. So now, in all the conversations about FLCL, we can compare Progressive to Diebuster. What do we compare Gunbuster 3 to? FLCL. and by extension, Diebuster again. You know, it's kind of a funny thing, is like now we have to, think about Gunbuster 3 and how that's going to compare to Gunbuster 1 and 2. Similar to how in the lead up to Diebuster, people must have been thinking, well, how's Diebuster going to compare to Gunbuster if it's a different creative team? Of course, the wrinkle here is that it may not be a very different creative team. I'm sure Anna will not be involved, but having Yamaga involved is very interesting. I really hope it has an 80s feel. I really hope that the designs, whether they're done by Yoshiki Sadamoto or not, who's done, I believe, the designs for maybe not the original, maybe the original. I know he did the designs for Diebuster and Evangelion and many other anime. Whether or not they're done by him, I really hope the designs aren't sort of too modern looking. I hope they're a little unique, and I hope that the whole show in general is that way. I'd obviously like them to continue the streak of good music in the shows, and just to continue these stories, these intense and ridiculous giant robot battles with these strong friendships and conflicts characters who are willing to sacrifice. That's what you want in a story. So those are my thoughts on Gunbuster 3. I'm going to record another video today, I think, about Katamari. So there's some news on that. But if you watch this, thank you. This is a long-ass... I think this is my longest video yet. It's coming in 11 minutes, 40 seconds right now. So if you watch it, thank you very much. Please let me know what you think in the comments if you are a Gunbuster fan, which everyone should be. Thank God, when this comes out, say Gunbuster 3 is big. That'll draw a lot of people to the other shows. So, there it is. Thank you for watching.